Good morning, ladies. Have you ever heard of Horatio Spafford? He lived in the late 1800s. He was a very well-known businessman, lawyer, real estate investor, all that stuff, okay? And he was also a Christian. And so in 1871, the Great Fire of Chicago happened, and that destroyed a lot of his wealth, a lot of the real estate that he had, and all those sorts of things. And around that same time, he also lost one of his children. He had 4 daughters and a little son, and his little son passed away, got sick and died. And so he was just going through a lot, lost everything, lost a child. So great tragedy. And so he decided that he and his wife and his 4 daughters would take a trip to kind of just refresh themselves, to kind of regroup, and also to gather with some friends that he had in Europe to just get some encouragement. So his daughters and his wife went away on the ship first, and then he was going to come over after. And so they went over first. Well, in the Atlantic Ocean, their ship crashed into another ship, and all 4 daughters died. The wife survived, and all 4 daughters died. And so, he got word of this, and so then he's on his way over. And while he's on the journey over to Europe, he writes a poem. And the poem is what later became the hymn, "It Is Well." And maybe you're familiar with this story already. But looking at what has already happened to him, the tragedy that he has been through, and he writes this poem, and yet through all of this, and in the message of that hymn, maybe, the message is that he remained in faith. He had unwavering faith that even though all these things happened to him, he was still able to keep his eyes fixed on Jesus. And that is, why that hymn has, I think, become so well known and so popular down through the years, because it's anointed. It has the power of God on it. Those words in the hymn bring us hope and comfort, and we can find peace knowing that, yes, tragedy, trials, tribulation, suffering, we're not exempt from those things. But through it all, if we keep our eyes fixed on him, then we can find peace, and it can be known that it is well with our soul despite all these things, right? That's what faith is, that even though, these things are happening, we're still walking by faith. We're not going by sight, what's happening around us, the circumstances, the situations, the tragedy. We are still seated with him in heavenly places. That's what the word says. So we can remain in our seat of peace. We can know that in our soul it is well. We can have the peace that passes all understanding, like it says in Philippians 4:7, right? How can we do that? By the words of this hymn, and there's another modern version as well, and the words in that one says, through it all, my eyes are on you, and through it all, it is well with me. And I love that, because that is truth that we need in our life. We need to apply that, we need to believe it in our hearts, and we need to speak it out of our mouth, despite what may be going on. So know today that whatever has happened to you, whatever is going on, God is for you. He is not against you, and it is well with your soul if you choose to keep your eyes fixed on Jesus and rest in him today.